It's Thursday, July 11th, 2019, and this is the Pro and the Con Show, and I am your host, Michael James Ott. Welcome to the show. As always, welcome to the show. 15 to 20 minutes trying to get us to talk with each other, become better neighbors, friends, community members, citizens. So we've got to do better. We've got to give a little bit more of our time. Now, I'm not talking about, 40 hours a week. I'm talking about it like an hour a week or maybe 4 or 5 hours a month. We got no choice but to give that to make sure that the government of the people, by the people, then will be for the people. And because clearly we haven't been doing that up until now, and it's not working. So it's time to do something different. Okay, the very definition, there's a saying, it goes something like this: the very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I think Einstein said that, or I think he's accredited with it. But anyway, all right, so the topic that I want to jump to right away, instead of looking at what's in the news on the different websites, is abortion. So we talked about abortion. I did actually a series of 4 shows where we talked in some detail about abortion, one show after another. What I want to do is try to do a condensed version of that. So I'm flipping through here my presentation. So let me just say, so this is one of these things where we have all of us, regardless of where you are on this particular issue, we've all failed each other. We failed each other on this, okay? And the reason why we failed each other is because we're looking at this too simplistically. We aren't stepping back and understanding what everyone is thinking on this issue, and then trying to find a place where everyone can be in a good way. So, for example, the people that are anti-abortion, so-called pro-life people, what they really want, the fundamental thing that they really want, is many, 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 many fewer abortions. Basically no abortions, okay, or hardly any abortions. And why is that? Well, because if you look at the curve of what happens, let me see if I can find that. So if you look at that curve, what that is from the beginning over here. Whoops. Sorry about that. Let me go back to it. From the beginning, right after conception, it's actually a true thing that the fetus, or anyway, the zygote or fetus, whatever you want to call it, right after conception, in a human being is actually very unstable. And there's only a relatively small fraction of them, of the conceptions, that actually make it to a place where it's a healthy baby. But all that instability, all of that potential failure in a pregnancy happens all in the first weeks, which is one of the reasons why, for example, most women would discuss amongst themselves and say, yeah, if you think you are pregnant, don't tell anybody for a couple months, a few months, because something might happen. And it's actually pretty darn common, and so don't do that. But then once you get to a certain place, and it looks like it's maybe 6 or 7 weeks beyond conception, something like that, then if a fetus has made it that far, then the probability goes up considerably that it's going to carry to term and be a healthy baby. Now it goes from maybe only 20 or 25% probability right at conception to something round about maybe a 95% probability 6 or 7 weeks later. So what that would say to many of us is, since we value life, is that certainly after the first 5, 6, 7 weeks of pregnancy, there's a very good chance that that's going to be a human being pretty darn soon. So what do we, and so that's why the people that are pro-life want to prevent abortions, and especially the later the term, the more fervent they are in believing this, and it would appear to have some basis, right? And then the people who are saying, well, they're so-called pro-choice, they want to make sure that women have the ability to have an abortion if they think it's important for them to do that. And the reasons why they think it's important, I'm just going to read them through. Financial, timing, partner concerns, focus on previous children, disruptive to future plans, not prepared, health-related, can't provide, so that's financial again, lack of maturity or independence for the mother, influenced by family or friends, or don't want to have a baby or give it up for adoption. Okay, so those are the reasons why someone wants to have an abortion. All right. And there's a few more, actually. Emotionally traumatic, and there's the potential for physical damage to the mother. Okay. So then the right way to do this is then how do we get this where everyone can be in a good way? Now, I'm not saying that they're going to be elated, but they're going to be accepting, generally feeling all right with the situation. And the way you do that is the people that say, well, I'm pro-life, and the people that say, well, I'm pro-choice. Well, what would you pro-choicers, what would it take for you to feel better about, limited abortions in some way? And your pro-lifers, what would it take for you to feel good about the fact that abortions are being limited? And so I put together just a very quick, so we talk about then a comprehensive approach. And so before I go any further, let me say this. So I'm a man, and I get it. I'm a man. I can't have a baby. Okay. So I'm talking about all this stuff as a straw man kind of proposal kind of thing. All right. But I want to make it absolutely clear that women, they are in a unique position here. I don't, if there was something unique about me, maybe I think a man has a prostate and a woman doesn't have it. So let's talk about a prostate thing. Let's assume that there was something with our prostates. Well, women, you don't have a prostate. So, I wouldn't say, well, you can't have an opinion, but your opinion doesn't carry as much weight as the opinions of men who have prostates. And you guys don't, okay? Well, now the analogy is women have uteruses, and they have the potential to give birth to people, so they are in charge here, and the rest of us, the men, need to talk to them and offer to facilitate their views and discussions and help understand and support. But in the bottom line of it is that it's for them to decide. Okay, I can't make that more clear, that women need to decide this, and the men need to be on the sidelines supporting what they say, facilitating discussions or whatever, but that's it. Okay. So let's go back to abortion. So now let's look at a comprehensive approach, because the other things that are true holistically is the United States, even though we're one of the wealthiest countries, if not the wealthiest country in the world, our babies are not all that healthy. And in fact, the percentage of them that are born with birth defects and that are stillborn and so on is quite high for a nation with our wealth. And many other nations do much better than we do. So, hey, we should be fixing this. We should be working on it. So what we need then is a comprehensive program of pre-pregnancy care, pregnancy care, and post-pregnancy care. And it's to basically, and I've heard that Bill Clinton said this. I said it independent of him, but I think there's a good chance he said it first. So abortion should be legal. They should be affordable to people who have to have one. They should be rare. They should be rare. Okay? And what that means is that we've got to, we've got to give choice to women, and we've got to resolve this. And by doing this comprehensive program, where we're, looking for pregnancy much, much earlier on a mandated basis. It's all, by the way, all subsidized by the government. So if you lack the means to afford it, no problem. You get all these care services where, if you're of childbearing age and you haven't been sterilized, I hate to use that word, but if you haven't had tubal ligation as a woman, then you automatically can get free pregnancy tests and whatever methods of birth control are best for you, and also certain levels of medical care to make sure that, for example, if you're on drugs, to try to get you off of drugs and stuff like that, so that we avoid all of the significant issues that arise in the pre-pregnancy area. And then you have the pregnancy care, and some of the same issues are there. So you're can support the women during pregnancy and make sure they're healthy and stuff like that. And then post-pregnancy, there's to make sure there's a robust methodology through this whole thing, where, for example, adoptions are facilitated and made to be certain and reasoned and appropriate and all those kinds of things, because there's lots and lots of people that want to adopt children, and there are babies being born where the moms don't want to have the children for various reasons. So we've got to bring all this together, and we can do this. We can readily bring this together where abortions are legal, they are affordable, again, to people that would need them, and they're rare. Because we've done all the other things that address these issues that women talk about: the financial, the partner concerns, the disruption of future plans, and related to health kind of stuff, the emotional trauma, the physical damage to the mothers. All these kinds of things where we have a comprehensive program. We're going to address all of the concerns and get them to a place where we're in a very good way, where women either, they basically don't want to have abortions. And in a big way, it's because they aren't getting pregnant. Okay, but also if they do get pregnant, then it's a known, fair, reasonable support program that carries them through to pregnancy, followed by the adoption of their child if they don't want to keep it. And presumably, if they were considering or would consider having an abortion, and we're going to work with them to cause them to not have an abortion, well, then we need to make this a 9-month thing or a 1-year thing and not a lifetime thing. Because for sure, anyone that's pregnant and not wanting to be so, it's at the moment it's a lifetime issue. And there's, of course, the social stigma and stuff like that, which we got to get rid of. I'm going to say just a few words about that, and then we'll sign off for today. So the social stigma, all right, ladies and gentlemen, and I said this in the previous shows, we like to have sex. Humans like to have sex. Okay, I don't care, how religious you are or whatever. The reality is that humans like to have sex. And the humans, and how do I know this? Well, the humans that don't like to have sex, they don't have sex. And guess what happens? They don't procreate. And those genes that don't want to have sex are gone. And the genes that are left are the ones that, we want to have sex. Okay? So people want to have sex. So this taboo around having sex, I'm not saying that, we should, have sex, in public places or all that kind of stuff, but there has to be an acknowledgement that human beings like to have sex. And if that is true, and it is true, then we have to do something to address what happens when human beings have sex. And the best way to address it is to offer contraception and training and education around the front end to prevent as many not unwanted pregnancies as possible. And the other side of that is, let me see if I can find that. Is it in here? Oh, here it is. See, the other part of it is the world population is going through the roof. Okay? So you can see, So you can see that it was going along and was fairly constant, and now over the last 100 years or 200 years, oh my God, the population has increased by a factor of 7 or 8 in just the last couple of 100 years, and we can't. I'm sorry, we just can't sustain that. This lovely planet we're on cannot sustain it. And this is a huge source. All the people that we have, we're trying to take care of. This is a huge source of stress and strain on everything, and it's causing a lot of the poverty around the world, and the hunger, and the associated frustration and anger, which is then, for those of you that are worried about terrorism and terrorist activities, well, this is the breeding zone of all this, is to have a bunch of poor, impoverished people. They get angry and frustrated, and they want to do something about that. And we've got to acknowledge that all of this is tied together. Okay. All right. Well, time's up for today. So the Pro and Con Show, Michael James Ott. Look forward to talking to you again real soon. And until I do, bye for now.